panel is about the emerging market of India. Everyone seems to be talking about it that I know, and recent tours by David Guetta and Fatboy Slim have shown that there's a huge appetite for electronic music over there. And I actually managed to get over there in December for my kind of first visit, and was overwhelmed really, and kind of quite humbled by the fact that, particularly as an Englishman, where there's been so much kind of natural connection with India in the course of history, that I was so naive to what was going on there and the potential that exists there. So we've gathered an esteemed panel of people with that are either operating in India or have had experiences there, to see where we can go with this. So firstly, to introduce yourself maybe.
Hi, I'm Theo Gupta. I work for Nokia. I look after the global entertainment partnerships, specialising mainly in the artist relations.
Hi, I'm Shailendra Singh, the Joint Managing Director of Percept and the promoter of Sunburn.
I'm Nikhil Chinappa. I'm an MTV presenter in India, and I also am Festival Director of Sunburn, and a bit of a musical evangelist in the country.
I'm Tony McGuinness. I'm 1/3 of Above and Beyond, and I also run a label called Anjuna Beats.
I'm Kevin McHugh. I am an artist under the name Ambivalent, and I actually just finished a tour in India about 2 weeks ago.
Hi, I'm Akshay Serene, and I do a lot of different stuff with music. I used to work at Red Bull helping culture marketing for them, and I run a little festival called the Tilt Festival. I'm also an artist, and I write for Rolling Stone, GQ, MTV Noise Factory. So yeah, whatever I can do to contribute to the scene.
Okay, so I think first, Shailendra, have we got a film you want to show? As we're going to get a bit of an overview of where we're at in India.
Yeah, I just want to introduce the film before we play it. I think, I mean, this is my first experience at IMS, and I think before we take off this panel, and I'm sure once it gets going, we won't have the opportunity to do this. But on behalf of the panel and the Sunburn team, I think what Ben and Pete are doing with IMS is phenomenal. We're sitting in far away in India. I think we realize the importance of the difference that they're truly making. I was just telling Ben that most of the festivals across the world, whether they're the film festivals or any other, generally they're all about just social networking. I think this festival is about business too. And I think that is really the differentiator. So my compliments to Pete and Ben and the entire IMS team. The reason I felt the need to do an audiovisual was generally, of course, to wake you up, because I know it's lunchtime and you're hungover from last night. But beyond that, you know, 4 years ago, I happened to go to Los Angeles and you know, for the movie business that we do. And after the discussion of 15 minutes, the only feedback that I got from the whole team there was, "Oh, you speak fluent English." It's just fucked my brains up. You know? I said, "Are you for real?" I mean, you know, so anyway, so I just thought it's important to put India in perspective. That's what the agenda here today is, and I think it's crucial. It's got its own weaknesses, strengths, and opportunities. Like I say, every crisis has a big opportunity. So it is a country of 1.3 billion people. Whether you like it or not, 1 in 8 in the world population is an Indian. So that's how it goes now. Another statistics which is very crucial, we've got 600 million young people in India below the age of 25. It's not a joke. The first cell phone in India was used 13 years ago, and now we got 900 million users. That too is not a joke. The young population is pretty adventurous, open-minded, and actually wants to get out there and make a difference. So they want to be the change that they expect India to have the change. So while the democracy that we have is pretty destructive in all perspectives, but I think Generation Next wants a change. And therefore, I thought that I'll just put an audiovisual. The audiovisual has certain statistics, and obviously, like, you know, I think Ben's going to get angry, but towards the end of the audiovisual, of course, we present a bit about Sunburn, being the festival that we've done, and which has actually transformed the scene of electronic music in that territory, and now actually having an impact in Asia, a serious impact. So, you know, we're going to just blow our trumpet towards the end a little bit, so just be patient, but generally it's about India. We can have the AV.
everybody asks, what is your favorite place to play? What is your favorite gig? What is your favorite country? And I always say one thing, it's India.
India is now the hot place to be.
You just walk around here, I don't have to tell you, everyone's smiling, everyone's happy, everyone's hugging you, and it's such a good feeling.
Every DJ says, go play that festival.
It's maybe the biggest festival in Asia.
It's like one of the best festivals I played at this year.
Sunburn has got a name already all around the world, you know, all the DJs know it, you know, it's become a big festival.
I'm sure a lot of people will talk about this festival when they go home. The tourists that have, come here will go home and say good things.
Can I request you to be the first citizen of planet Sunburn?
That would be an honor. I'd love to be that.
Are you ready, Sunburn? Are you ready,
There you go. Well, we know Sunburn's good. I could vouch for that. Maybe Nikhil, we'll come to you first though, and just give us a little bit of an overview of where the rest of India's at and how the club scene is looking right now. And maybe just explain also why, if you think back to the history of the Goa parties, which kind of were happening as the Ibiza scene was just starting, why it didn't catch, the whole scene didn't catch fire then?
Well, it's difficult to explain why it didn't happen earlier, because we've had DJs and dance music in India for quite a while, from the mid-80s. But there's always been a problem of delivering it to a wider audience. We've never had record stores in India. DJ Mag is a magazine that's coming in now thanks to Percept, and there was no dance radio, there was no dance television. So it was quite difficult for for the larger population to get into club music. There were always nightclubs around, and that's never been enough. Even now, if you go out in Mumbai, which is a city of 23 million people, you don't have too many places where you can go out and party to club music on a weekend. You've only got about 2 or 3, which is ridiculous. And I've gone on and on about venues being a big problem for us in India. We just don't have enough venues across different sizes. You don't have the venues that hold 100, 200 people where you can do an alternative scene on a Saturday night. You just have very few of them. So I can go on and on about the problems, but it's not about the problems that we have in India. It's about the opportunities, because, like Shanda said, with every problem, you have the chance to create an opportunity out of it. I'm repeating myself. Sorry, Pete, what was the question again?
There was an overview of where the club scene's at. You were just saying out the back. I mean, there are some observations you just had about, you know, how many venues there were, the kind of state of the venues, and most interestingly, the times they're allowed to operate in.
The overview is that it is very, very positive. You have problems that occur on the ground, which is sometimes with timings. The clubs can't stay open very late. Not a very effective delivery mechanism as yet. But we've gone on saying that this is just the beginning. India is a market that is hugely experimental. We have a very large population of experienced junkies who want to go out and experience new things, and dance music is everybody's favorite form of music right now in India.
I just had a small point to make. Sorry. We're like family, so he won't mind this. Right? I just had a point. Yesterday, I got the opportunity to actually experience the Australian emerging market panel discussion. It was very sort of an eye-opener. That market is 20 years old, is saturated. Each of the panelists bashed Australia out. They said the scene is dying, the country has huge problems, publishing is bullshit, club scene is crap, too many festivals. I didn't understand what was happening there. And then I sat through some other panels. I just have a thought that I think I should certainly bring it to the table for sure. You know, we all exist for one reason, and that reason all of us are ignoring for sure. Because I've been through everything we've done here at the IMS this year. We've forgotten about the consumer. Nobody cares about the consumer. The money comes from there. And nobody wants to understand how he or she is feeling. Now, what Nikhil said is spot on. There are challenges in India. You know, arenas, gigs, clubs, I understand all that. But there is a massive opportunity. I just told you, 600 million people, 25. And what has electronic music got? Why did we do this? Why not do live music? Why not do Bollywood music? We did it for a particular reason. Electronic music, there's no language. The universal language of electronic music is energy. And India, that's why we call it the United States. There's a reason I said to Pete, I requested, can we call it the United States of India, for God's sake? Because you take 1 hour flight, you have a different language, different looking people, different food. It's a crazy country. So electronic music was spot on because it was all about energy, and young people just want energy. So I feel that and we are doing that because we've got 27 years experience in that space, we got to focus on consumer, for God's sake. And this is not about just India, it's about the world. We just don't discuss the consumer. We don't know what he wants. The agents want to just the top dollar because, I mean, I don't know, you know, I mean, we must understand that life is like a fistful of sand. Keep squeezing and you're going to die soon. So are few of us going to make a difference in the planet, or are we just going to, you know, bang in the cash and just bugger off? So my point is that if you really want to make a difference, markets like India, Asia have to be penetrated, have to be thought through with consumers. And if you do so, infrastructure will come by, law will change, everything will change. It's all about demand and supply anyways. So I feel it's a crazy country, land of opportunity, mad people there. You can do things in India that will take you 10 years to do in America. You can do that in 1 month. It's a mad place.
It's very important that firstly, India is open for business. Okay, that's very important to understand. The market is there, it's available, it's hungry, and there's loads of opportunity. But when you go in, or when you come in to partner with people in India, it is very important for everyone to do their homework. One of the problems we've had, Pete, over the past couple of years is that we've, like Steve Hogan from William Morris says, anyone with a cell phone and an email ID is now a promoter. And we've had that problem a lot in India, where you just send an email out, and agents are very quick to book gigs just to get their artists into a territory, get the money in the bank, and it doesn't work out very well because the tours are not planned properly. The promoter isn't really someone who's into the scene or is clued in on how to run a tour or run a gig. And the entire territory gets a bit of a gray area, I mean, a gray reputation. So for agents of here, I don't know how many of you sitting here are agents or work with agencies. If you're sending artists into India, it's very important for you, number one, to do your homework, to figure out who you're sending your artists to, rather than just sending them out blindly. Number two, for larger brands and companies that are interested in investing in India, yes, the doors are open, the industry is there, the potential is there. But it's not just about the large events. I mean, we're seeing what's happening in America with a lot of big festivals and big events cropping up. it's very important for us to nurture a young market like India. And I say young, even though we've had DJs there for quite a while, but electronic music in India is exploding now the way it did in the UK in the late 80s. And it's very important that when you come in there and do the big gigs with all the big headline artists, that you also nurture an underground scene that creates a strong foundation. I think Kevin had met with a couple of people.
Let's bring Kevin in on this now, because he's just finished a tour there, and
Well, I think actually that's exactly how I was feeling, and that was one of the main things that I came away with.
I think also that's one of the themes of the Australian panel, was that it was all festivals and no clubs, and there was no kind of foundation to it. So
yeah, I brought a video, but I think I'm going to skip it, because if that's okay with everybody, because I'd actually really love to address what you're talking about, Nikhil, which is that, you know, we experienced something for a little while in New York that I went through, and it was interesting to go and see it happening, you know, more than 10 years later in India, which is that you have to really build something from the very bottom in terms of scale. I mean, you have to have audiences who can experience electronic music and experience dance music in very natural ways, in the ways that the music is built for, which is often, you know, a dark, small, intimate club with only, you know, 200, 300 people there, and then also be able to experience it on these massive festival scenarios too. And they're both two ends of a spectrum. And I think the one thing that, if there was a top line sort of takeaway that I took from my entire trip in India, is that it's really a land of contrasts, and the entire country really has both sides of every spectrum. You have intense poverty, intense wealth, and tons of development and technology, as well as people who are really trying to participate in the new economy. And the scene, I think, should also carry both of those things. And one of the things that I noticed that clubs were struggling with were the ability to have the authorities there respect and understand that a disco, you know, is not a rave. It's not, I mean, there have been crazy things with police accusing clubs of being brothels or things like this, or drug dens, just in order to be able to close them down, because they don't really understand what's happening there. So the audiences are really hungry for something that is the real experience that we've been through in Europe and in the United States, where they can get their hands on music that is not just at the absolute top of the line, but the entire spectrum of what is out there.
how challenging was it to play there when often the clubs were closing before midnight?
In the sets that I played were each shut down early by police showing up. Not before midnight. Before the clubs were set to close at 2:30, and both times the police came and shut it down before then. So I'm not sure. Maybe somebody can explain the different closing times in different cities, but it was a challenge to get people in the door, get them up and moving, and get the night started in time to actually have a full experience before the police could come, or before the law said that it had to shut down.
Okay. I want to make sure everyone... Do you want to,
yes. I just wanted to add to that, because there are different ways of working with the government, like you said. I mean, they have this thing against electronic music because they believe that a lot of stuff happens in there that shouldn't, like Indian people don't do, like alcohol or whatever else it might be. And there is a way to work with
You can say drugs. It's a big
we got drugs.
Okay, we've heard. You're not going to get arrested.
Okay, cool. I'm not there right now.
This is very important. The scene in India is largely driven by alcohol and not by drugs, which is why you get a lot more enthusiastic audiences. And most DJs, in fact, every DJ who's ever come to India has always loved the scene and has wanted to come back, because the energy and the enthusiasm that they get off audiences in India apparently is something that's dying across the world.
It's like playing in Belfast then, Scotland.
I absolutely agree. I loved it, and I totally didn't mind being shut down, an hour into my set, because that hour was magic in terms of the connection with people. And that absolutely should be a huge takeaway, that the passion and the emotional connection that people give you in the audiences is unparalleled. I was really, really touched when I played there.
there's an important point that Sunburn this year, which was the 5th year, it was a big year for us, due to some technical issues, we did not have alcohol till 9 p.m. on day one of the festival. You can imagine it. We had 30,000 people in the arena. No issues.
We sold a lot of Red Bull that day.
Huh?
We sold a lot of
we
Red
sold
Bull that day.
But not a single customer, paid customer, had an issue. He just was so happy just being there. And I think, you know, like you saw on the audiovisual, some of the DJs mentioned that India has a very infectious sort of a heart connect. There's a relationship being built, and that's most people that enjoy it. So there is something which comes from the heart there.
Okay.
Sorry, back to the government thing that we were talking about. Building the scene. So there is a way to work with the government. The government does support cultural initiatives. They tend to prefer live music. So we've actually tied up with the government and with the India Tourism, and we do something called the Bombay Bandstand Revival, where we pick up bands and we do gigs, free gigs across the city. And I think the next step would be to involve electronic music in there and seamlessly kind of like sneak it in and let people understand that electronic music is music and it's just not about clubbing and doing drugs and alcohol.
Okay, one other thing I think is important for the overview, just talking to Fatboy Slim and David Guetta recently about their impressions, was that the infrastructure in some of the country makes England look third world. So maybe Theo, you just give us a bit of an overview about where India is at on the technology front and just what the kind of mobile revolution is.
I think it's you know, India's sort of leapfrogged fixed line and just gone straight to mobile. So then you put in electronic dance music into that mix. The two have met both at the same time. So, you know, there's the technology and also electronic dance music coming together. You know, we've had music services running in India because it's one of our strong markets. We have a dominant market share still there. We've had music services running, I think, 5 or 6 years there, and we're starting to see electronic music really come up through our Nokia Music Unlimited service. You know, we have downloads of about 5 or 6 tracks a second on that, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that's growing fast as well. And we're really seeing electronic music pull up through that, and I think the youth market today that you were talking about before, they're not, you know, they're looking at how they can use their handset, how they can build an app that will work on it to make, you know, things happen when it comes to the club nights, etc. So, you know, we're really seeing real push forward from our sort of customers in that market.
Okay, Tony, I'll come to you now because you like the country so much, you named a label after a beach. So do you want to give us your overview of, because you played there a lot, and also, and just from running a label point of view, maybe just where they're at on piracy and stuff like that?
Well, we called our label Anjuna Beats because of the birthplace of Goa Trance, really. That's, and so we were anxious to go there for quite a long time, and the first Sunburn Festival in 2007 was the first time we got a chance to go there. It actually coincided with the 100th release on Anjuna Beats. That's how long we waited to go back. But I mean, we've been seeing people at our gigs from India, in gigs in Dubai and in Singapore. You know, these kids have got money and they can travel and they wanted to come and see us. We've also had a very healthy forum and an online presence right from the start of the label, and people from India have always been very much engaged in that. So we kind of went to India for the first time in 2007 with already a kind of preordained audience, if you like, and that was really, most of the people that were there were hardcore Anjuna Beats fans that we knew from our forum. Fast forward 5 years to the last one that we did, and the transformation was incredible. I mean, we've heard a lot of people talking about how many new young consumers there are in India with access to mobile phones and to travel and to music, and that was really my experience of the last Sunburn Festival. And in terms of infrastructure, the staging and the visuals and the lighting and everything else was as good as it gets anywhere. And also what other people have been saying. I mean, the audience really are incredibly enthusiastic. Electronic dance music is second only to Bollywood music in popularity in India, and I think that's extraordinary, really. If you think about the dominance of that music form in the country, we're like the new Elvis in India, and it's a fantastic place to be to play.
I think where's India at with local talent? Because obviously you look at the film of Sunburn, you see the flyers that go up there. It's all international DJs, which is kind of the way it was in America, really, I suppose, 15 years ago. But now in America, there's more and more local DJs that are meaning more around the rest of the world. Where's India at in terms of local talent?
The lineup at Sunburn is actually more than 50% Indian. We have about 60% local talent that plays at the festival, and we've got a very strong DJ pool. But the way the world is moving now, it's very important for people to produce music, not just DJ, in order to gain worldwide popularity. And we have a few producers that are making a mark for themselves out of India. There's Jalebi Cartel, Akshay Sarin's just done an album as well. Lost Stories, Rishabh Joshi and his partner Prayag are making music, and they're starting to be noticed and heard.
He's gone missing, by the way, if anyone's seen it.
It's his first trip to Ibiza. I think he's 19. It's
got
par for the course. So it's a matter of time. I mean, we're a nation of geeks, and electronic music is made on computers. It's a matter of time before somebody makes something that's going to blow up across the world. It's just a question of when, not if, and it's going to happen. So we're continuing to nurture that market, both at Sunburn and Submerge, the other label other collective that I run. There are efforts there to find and nurture new talent. We do a DJ competition that we've developed ourselves with a very clear-cut method to find real DJ talent, not just gimmicky stuff. So efforts are being made in that direction. Coming back to, sorry Pete, I'm just going to cut across quickly.
Just one point on the talent front, and this goes to our we have a DNA problem in India. We're a land of culture, tradition, music, art. We're like 7,000 years old country. We have huge roots, but there is lack of self-belief, in all honesty. So what am I coming to? The point that I'm trying to make is that in 1990s we all believed content was king, but in 2000s packaging has been God. So we may have talent in India, we do have talent, like Nikhil said appropriately, but I think now is the time to go there and package it. So the surprising aspect is that if you go to a mall in India, typical Selfridges mall, so out of the 140 shops, 139 are international brands. Our chicken tikka masala is the national cuisine of United Kingdom. Fuck, man. Yoga is registered in the US. We don't own yoga, the word, anymore. I went out to register Bollywood because we have a company, called Bollywood Corporation, and I thought we should just register now. Because things like copyright and trademark are alien in India yet. So anybody listening, come. You can make some money. So I went to register, and this is 6 years ago. And there were 170 categories available in Bollywood, like Bollywood Cafe, Bollywood Retail, Bollywood Kingdom, all that jazz. So I said, I want to take all of it, because Bollywood is quite cool, it's growing, And surprise, I got 110, but the balance 60, 70 were taken by somebody. So I said, listen, and India, a little bit of money and everything works. It's quite sweet. I like it, actually. So we just said, hey, who's the guy, He says, no, I can't tell you. I said, oh yeah, come on. I see, quickly he changed his mind and told me. It was Disney. Disney, 12 years ago, has registered Bollywood in 60 odd categories. So we, as a country, so I agree with Nikhil, we've got immense talent, but we need platforms, and therefore in Sunburn, being market leaders, with the help of Nikhil, his team, Submerge, he's been there from day one, part of the whole journey. I feel that we need to intellectualize a process. We need to create platforms, and that's why we went and tied up a DJ Mag for the next 5 years. We're launching DJ Mag in the next 3 weeks, because if the Indian DJs don't get a platform to be written about, to be known by you guys, it's never going to happen. They don't even have the confidence. They're happy just playing for $100 in any club. They don't care. So I think, going forward, and secondly, just another small point I'm just making. Second point is that, so the belief has to transform, but then you have to create the opportunities and platforms. So you won't believe it, what happened this Sunburn. Viacom has invested $4 million to make a full-length feature film, releasing on December 22nd. I'll try and show you the poster before we leave. This is a full-length feature film. This is not a festival flick, which is the rushes, and obviously, and I played a little title in the beginning of this AV. All the footage that you saw is in-house shot. There's no stock footage from any other festival in the world. So the feature film that we're releasing on 22nd is a movie. And it's about the lives of people who come to festivals. So it's not just Sunburn who's going to benefit, but globally, DJs will get more respect. Fans will not be known as drug addicts just losing it. No, it's an experience of energy, happiness, entertainment. So this feature film is going to be released in 80 countries. So the premiere is a global premiere on December 22nd. So these are all steps to give respectability, bring in DJ Mag, do the rankings. We're doing a whole ranking festival. It's a process. But being market leaders, I feel the onus is upon me, Nikhil, all of us to make the difference. As they say, if you want to change, be the change. So there's a lot of shit. Sorry, bro.
No worries. I just wanted to put in a small thing that I do think actually a lot of the artists who are coming from India do believe in themselves and are pushing themselves. And what I've noticed is that a lot of the artists that I met there, or artists that I knew their music before I came there, are really pushing themselves out of India into the larger scene. And that's a really encouraging thing, because when you have a scene that exports as much as it imports, then you become a cultural hub. And you know, none of the big spots on the international dance music circuit became that way by only putting on shows from artists outside. They became that because people said, ah, there's something in the water over there that's making great records come from there. And artists like Nikhil mentioned, Jalebi Cartel and Basic Love of Things, these guys are doing stuff, they're making records that other DJs are playing, and those other DJs are starting to see, okay, there's something happening in India that's not just a place where I can get booked, it's a place to pay attention, and I think that's also going to grow a lot of what happens in India.
Can I add to this? I'm probably, other than you, probably the youngest person on this panel, and I've actually been making music for 14 years now. I released my first album when I was 16, and it's been, I think I'm in a really good position to actually discuss this topic, because I've been through been through music from like a decade and a half back, and I've worked at Sony Music, I've released stuff on Warner, Armada, Black Hole, now Universal, and we've set up a label under the Universal umbrella called Contrabass, which is focusing on releasing electronic music. So Ferry Corsten released recently, Solar Stone released last week, and then Nero is going to be releasing soon. I'm going to be the first Indian, along with Lost Stories, releasing on that label. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's amazing what Sunburn and Nikhil, and there we go, Rishabh just woke up.
Welcome.
So yeah, it's amazing what's happening now, and things are moving really fast. But what Kevin said, it's really important for us to get a platform outside India as well. And my new album that I'm releasing in a couple of weeks has people like DJ Qbert on it. It's got working with Andy Moore. I've actually collaborated with the Black Eyed Peas on some stuff. So it'd be good for people to actually like start talking about what we're doing back home and not just importing talent as well, because there are some amazing producers in India, like Rishabh, for example.
So the basic question is, what does this mean for all of you who are sitting here listening to this panel? You know, promoters, DJ agencies, guys who own record labels. The bottom line is that there is opportunity in India, and there's a lot of it. Not just with one company or one person. There are a lot of people out there who are interested in creating scenes for themselves, events for themselves, and we need partnerships. So the license model, we had a conversation a couple of years ago in Amsterdam. The licensing model where you say, I own this big brand, this big festival brand, which is very popular in London and Amsterdam and Ibiza, and I want you to pay me so much money to license it in India. That's never going to work, because we can build our own, as we have with Sunburn. But there are people who are interested in investing in India, and it always pays back. Simon Dunmore, who's sitting back, who won the Lifetime Achievement Award. Simon's been a big fan of India and a friend as well. And
Half of him is Indian.
half of him is Indian as well.
Yeah.
They've been asked.
Seen him in a dress.
John W. Fleming, Norman Doré, the guys from William Morris, David Levy, and I have been speaking for many years, and I've learned so much. There are people in India who are willing to learn, willing to talk, willing to listen, willing to partner, do business with you. You just need to do your research and your homework and come in with sincerity and enthusiasm, and it will pay back. That's the bottom line.
Somebody who's relatively small on the scale of how big electronic artists get, and in terms of the scale of venues that I play, I was shocked at the turnout that in India rivaled a lot of the turnout at some of my European shows, and the European market is supposed to be so much bigger. The audience is there, they're ready, they're willing, and they'll spend money.
And they're diverse, right? Because, you know, from above and beyond to ambivalent or minus.
Even, I mean, people like, I brought Dorian Concept down to India last year, brought DJ Marquee down, so that there is like drum and bass, dubstep, Nero is going to be coming down, Chase and Status are coming down in a couple of months. So, I mean, there is so much to do, but then there's space for everyone because there's just so many of us.
Okay, conscious of time and this little clock down here, I think we've got to get a few questions in from the floor.
Do you see the relationship with the government and the police evolving and getting better so clubs are not getting closed down?
We managed to pull off Sunburn in Goa all 5 years with no interruptions whatsoever, including the weekend of 26/11 when 300 people lost their lives in Mumbai in the terrorist attack. So it was just round the corner. And India united, the media, the officials, and they said the party must go on. Sorry, I lost my voice there. Okay. India united. That was the only gig that happened in the entire country. So having said that, I think you've got a valid question there. So first I'm going to clarify the laws. Okay, so generally the laws is that if you're doing an open air gig, you can do it till 10 p.m. Okay, so 9:59 Sunburn shuts if it's open air. All clubs have permissions till 1 o'clock. And if any club promises you beyond that, then he's pushing it. If you're in a 5-star hotel, then you have permission till 2 a.m. This is how it works, to be honest. And with the emergent support of people like Above and Beyond and big talent like Axwell, everybody coming in, now what we floated to the ministry, and we were discussing with William Morris's team this morning, is that we're trying to explain to them what music tourism means. The tickets to Goa on 25th of December are for 3,000 rupees, which is, what is that?
About $50.
$50, okay? On the 26th, it is $500, because 27th is Sunburn. So we produce a document on how music tourism actually uplifts an economy. Sitting here in Ibiza, this is my second time. He bought me last time for 2 days for an induction. What is this place? This is music tourism. This is how you can actually build cities, you can build states. So it is a concept sell to the Indian democracy, but it's happening for sure. And I think the cops, you're spot on. We're a phenomenally corrupt country, and it works both ways. So it's quite nice, and we have these live debates. The corruption has to go, and we're working at it. But having said that, the media is very mature now. So you really can't, sort of break the law and get away with it. So I think the media is really helping, and media has evolved, and it's the next generation that is running the media. So if the cops really mess around with you, you have the media as a platform to do it. And sooner than later, I think the Indian economy scene is ever growing. So it's only in the larger interest of India that all these little small things disappear gently.
Just to underline that fact, last week there was a party that got shut down in Mumbai, and the police went in. Every once in a while you'll have a police officer who feels that he can make a name for himself by getting the media to come along with him and bust a party. So it happened in Mumbai last week, and it was a pool party, so there were people in bikinis there were girls in bikinis. So the police made a statement that there was prostitution and there was drugs, and there was a massive backlash from the media saying, just because somebody's dancing in a swimming pool, how can the police just go and issue a blanket statement that there was prostitution and drugs being run at this place? And it's a very reputed kind of a place. So the media is also waking up, and they're asserting their rights, and the community is growing stronger. The younger generation now that is heavily into electronic music, and I saw this with the internet a few years ago with MTV as well. Every time I tried to get them to do something digitally, MTV would say, yes, we must go digital, this is in India. But we never went digital till about now. And the reason for that, I believe, was kids who were into the internet in a big way when they were in their 20s are now 25 and in a position to be able to make some decisions and take some decisions that govern the direction that the company is going to go in. So as the younger generation that's into electronic music starts to move into positions and places of power and where they can influence things, the scene will slowly start to change. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it is going to happen, and we're definitely on the path to making it happen.
I just want to try and get Rishabh to speak. Just your take on the scene right now, from an artist's point of view in India, and how exciting it is.
Firstly, apologies for really coming late. Ibiza did that to me, and it wasn't my fault. Yeah, so I'm Rishabh Joshi. I'm a part of Lost Stories. We started 5 years ago, and we got signed to Black Hole Records, and it's been a journey since then. And we have seen India grow. Of course, I've seen it a lot less than Nikhil has seen, Shailendram Singh has seen, but it has been a steep rise, and it's so good to be a part of the scene at this point of time, wherein there are people who are facilitating stuff, and it's not like before. Even before, we used to make tunes and give it out, but it never really took on from there. But since the last 5 years, especially when Sunburn came into the scene, and everything was in flow back then, So I'm really glad to be the part of the scene at this point of time.
Okay. Any more questions from the floor? There you go.
I'm here representing Bigfoot, and we're going over to India at the moment with quite considerable investment. we've been looking at spaces around Mumbai, it's the lease, the owner of the main space that we've been looking at, he wants the people that lease the space to spend a fortune on decor. Now, I know there's a cultural divide between the Bollywood millionaires and then the huge amount of middle class that there are in India, and we want to know if you think that a super club would work, you know, over kind of 700 people. Would the people of the middle class mix with the VIPs in much in the same way that Pasha works here, or Amnesia, or Space?
It'll have a lot to do with programming, positioning, location. But in terms of whether people across different socioeconomic strata will mix, absolutely, it happens right across India.
I played minimal techno and had 900 people for each show that I was doing. So a 700-person capacity venue could certainly do it for all kinds of spectrums of music.
The middle class and the upper class all survive together. So the mall example I gave you, just across the street, you have 100,000 people staying on the street. They both get along. It's quite a crazy country, but it's great fun. And they actually have a better time than us. But on the club scene, I mean, just addressing that, come, we build the brand Sunburn, we'll open a club together. You know? Yeah, why take a chance with a new brand and, you know, work your way up? It'd be brilliant. Yeah, exactly. Pete, I have a small question for you. Can I?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. I think it's all about intellectualizing and content. Ultimately, the journey is always about content. So I'm just in the open forum, actually requesting IMS to come to Goa in this December. Would you please come? We'll work the arrangements out. We'll make Ben happy. No issues. But we'd love you guys to come there because I think you can make a difference. Okay, so that's the official invitation. IMS Goa.
Thank you very
Coming
much.
soon, okay?
Another quick here, over there.
We saw a big, huge event with Trance and Fatboy Slim and David Guetta. You think we have a more techno big event like in Europe? Like minimal techno, like Ambivalent, Sven and the other artists?
Well, Kevin's just been there.
Yeah, I mean, I had an amazing experience. I felt like the audiences that I saw were incredibly educated, and in fact, they were hungry to see festivals that were representing larger or broader swaths of the colors of, you know, dance music, and the audiences want that. They're hungry for it, and hopefully it's not just the most famous commercial things that are taking place on the festival. I can't speak to this festival's content because I haven't been to them, but there definitely is a huge audience for that, and they're hungry for it, and they're coming to whatever it is that comes there to them. And I think a lot of DJs now, from the whole spectrum of music, are also anxious to go see India. So there's eagerness on both sides. It's just a matter of time before everybody starts to link it.
I mean, I played Sunburn, and certainly from a house perspective, I was playing during the day, but playing kind of English artists like Eats Everything, Julio Bashmore, there was so much love coming back from the dance floor, and people so happy to hear those tunes there. So I would say very open-minded.
Yeah.
I think it's just about environment, creating the right environment to enjoy the music, you know.
Well, to put it in black and white, the scene still is largely commercial. But if you are doing what I would call an alternative sound, which is either techno or drum and bass or dubstep, it's a question of finding the right partners in India who also champion that sound and getting into the right venues. Because obviously if you put a techno artist in a venue that plays Bollywood music on a Saturday night, then it's not going to work out. So doing your research is very important, but like everybody's been saying, it's an open market, there's space in there for everyone. It's just about doing your homework and dotting your I's and crossing your T's.
Thank you, everybody.
Very much.